Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our third series where we examine the answers to the just concluded 2023 WAEC English Language Paper 1. So today we want to consider section 3 of the paper, which captures questions 21 to 30. And these questions are basically on idioms, most appropriate interpretation. Okay, so you are normally asked to pick an option here, all right, that is the most appropriate interpretation to the context. That's a question. Now, don't forget that when you are handling problems on idioms, there are certain things that you must bear in mind. The first one is be careful of ordinary expressions. In other words, be careful of what? Ordinary interpretations. So that's one important rule that you must bear in mind, okay, before tackling problems on idioms. Then number 2 is to be very careful of an expression or an option that repeats a word of the idiom. Be careful of what? An expression that repeats a word of the idiom. Then another thing is to be very careful of a word that is a stark opposite. Okay? Any option that is opposite to the context. Opposite expressions. Be careful of opposite expressions. Okay? And then finally you use selection, context selections, contextualization and environment. So you can use symbols, you can use color, and then you can use number to decode your final answer. Okay, so that's how to handle problems on idioms. Now let's take on the first one. Revealing the information will cut the ground under my feet. This means that it will A. Expose my plans, B. Ruin my plans, C. Support my plans, D. Promote my plans. The correct answer to this expression is ruin my plans. Okay? So if you look at it very well, you see that promote my plan. If it has to cut the ground under your feet, then it cannot be promoting your plans. That's an expression that is an opposite interpretation. And if you look at an option like expose my plan, cutting the ground under your feet, if your plans are exposed, it's not destructive, but like what this idiom is saying is something close to destroying something, cutting the ground under your feet. So it's not like it is going to expose your plans. And then of course you have support my plans. So if we were removing promote my plans, then support my plans will go as well. So at the end of the day, you have ruin my plans. Question 22. Mother always tells me to keep my nose clean. This means that she tells me to A. Stay healthy, B. Do what pleases me, C. Stay out of trouble, D. Be focused. Good. So the context of this expression now is keeping your nose clean. If you look at staying healthy, it looks like an ordinary interpretation. Like we said, you have to be careful of ordinary interpretations when you're handling idioms. But the answer to this question is stay out of trouble. Okay? That is what it means to keep your nose clean. If you look at other options that are remaining here, like do what pleases you or be focused, you see that this looks like a casual expression or interpretation of the idiom. To do what pleases you or to be focused. No. So to keep your nose clean means to stay out of trouble. Question 23. This action effectively puts the marker on the project. This action effectively puts the marker on the project. This means that the project will A. Take off soon, B. Not be executed, C. Be delayed, D. Not begin well. Alright, so what is this context talking about? That is putting mockers on a project. Who are mockers? People that laugh at someone or at something, so they are mockers. So if mockers are put on a project. A project is what you are doing. Is it that the project will not take off soon? No. If someone is being mocked or a project is being mocked, then it means it will not be executed. In other words, it means it has failed. So it's not that it will be delayed or not begin well, but that the project has failed. So the project is being mocked. 24. You can see clearly that we are surpassed in numerical strength. This means that A, by far stronger than they, then B, much weaker than they, C, more than they are, D, fewer than they are. Alright, so what is this context saying? It says you can see clearly that we are surpassed in numerical strength. Numerical strength means number. Now, surpass means for something to pass some limit. So if you are surpassed, that is, someone has passed you in a particular thing. That is when you are surpassed. So the correct answer is fewer than they are. A says by far stronger. It's not talking about strength. B, much weaker than. This is also talking about strength. More than they are. No, not that we are more than they are, but they are more than we are. So that means we are fewer than they. D is the correct answer. Question 25. One of the athletes was disqualified because she jumped the gun. This means that she started A, too soon, B, on time, C, hurriedly, D, without permission. Alright, so the context of this idiom is jumping the gun. To jump the gun means to start too soon. So you see, this type of questions, you can easily answer them with previous knowledge, okay, of idioms. I think we can add it here. You can use previous knowledge. What I put there before was uses symbols and signs. So these are some rules that you can use to handle problems on idioms. So a problem like this, you can just use previous knowledge. To jump the gun is to start too soon. 26. Be careful of what you say. There are no flies on the bus. This means that the boss is A, neat, B, gullible, C, smart, D, strict. Right. So for a problem like this, you can use the rules carefully. Okay? If you say no flies on the bus and they say the bus is neat, this looks like an ordinary interpretation. Okay? Now, the correct answer to this expression is what? Smart. It means that the boss is intelligent. If you say there are no flaws in someone, it doesn't mean that the boss is gullible. If someone is gullible, that means the person can take in anything, okay, that can absorb anything. So in that case, you don't have to be careful with such a person. And if someone is strict, then they cannot warn you to be careful of what you say. So the correct answer is C. Question 27. The students cocked their ears at the principal's speech. This means that they listened with A, little interest, B, rapt attention, C, no understanding, D, no interest. Right, so the context of this question speaks of students cocking their ears ready. I think you can use replica and signs, okay, as well as symbols to decode answer to this idiom. So if you cock the gun, what happened? This word is related to cocking the gun. So when you cock the gun, then it means you are all ears. So is it little interest or rapt attention? Correct answer is rapt attention. Question 28. Your daughter will do very well in school. She has a good head on her shoulders. This means that she, A, is very beautiful, B, thinks fast, C, is sensible, D, is well behaved and diligent. Right, so the context of this idiom speaks of someone having a good head on their shoulders. Alright? So if this girl has a good head on her shoulder, then doesn't mean she's beautiful. That looks like an ordinary interpretation of the idiom, a casual interpretation, so it cannot stand there. What about thinks fast? You may suspect that kind of, or let's say tentatively. She's sensible, is well behaved and diligent. If someone is well behaved and diligent, it has to do with the entire body. So it's not about the head now. So that the person thinks fast or is sensible. If someone is sensible, it overshadows the fact that the person thinks fast. So the correct answer is C and not B. Question 29. The accountant has been under a cloud since the fraud scandal. This means that the accountant is A. worried, B. under supervision, C. unhappy, D. under suspicion. So if you look at our items here, you can always use the last one for this type of question, that is symbols and signs. So if someone is under a cloud, okay, after a scandal, that is after a fraud scandal, then it's going to be worried. No, if someone is under a cloud, doesn't mean that the person is worried. Clouds could usually cover up something. All right, so is the person going to be under supervision? No. The person is very likely going to be under suspicion. Okay, so if someone is under suspicion, then you can say the person is under a cloud. When you say that someone is under suspicion, that is, there's not going to be something like a kind of aura surrounding the person. So that is what it means for someone to be under suspicion or to be under a cloud. Then number 30. Immediately the truth was revealed, Ngozi flew into a rage. This means that Ngozi A suddenly became very angry, B became sad, C became desperate, D ran away. Good. If you look at this question very well, you can start with the first one, ordinary interpretation. So if they say flew into a rage and you say ran away, so flew, ran. No, they don't colloquiate. It's like an ordinary interpretation of the idiom. So option D can go. And of course, the correct answer to this question is suddenly became very sad, which is A. Because with the context of the question, said immediately the truth was revealed. Ngozi flew into a rage. So there was something drastic about Ngozi's action. Became sad. This can be tempting, all right? So you might be tempted to think of the fact that, because rage here, the word rage means to get angry. So if you say became sad, it's very close to interpreting the word rage. But the intensity of the expression is not conveyed by option B. So you say suddenly became very angry, like flew into a rage. So correct answer is A. So that is that on section 3 of the just concluded 2023 WAEC English Language Paper 1. Talks about idioms. Don't forget, when you are treating problems on idioms, you have to avoid anything that looks like an ordinary interpretation. And then you have to strike out such options first. And then any option again that repeats the word of the idiom would have to go. And any option that looks like an opposite interpretation of the idiom would have to be removed. Then you can always use previous knowledge of idioms to help you with some questions, and then don't forget things like symbols, signs, and replica. Here we talk about replica idioms, using symbols and signs to decode some idioms like we saw in question 29. So that's that on section 3, or the third series of our videos on this year's English Language Paper 1 exam. So see you again in our next video. We shall be talking about section 4.